Welcome to the 100th episode of AHSC TV's weekly program, newly renamed as Just Asia. For this centennial anniversary, AHSC TV presents a new look to the program, which will itself be further upgraded over the next few weeks and months. November 25th, this week, marked International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. AHSC TV brings you stories from Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh and the Philippines on this theme. Here are the headlines. Pakistan, the third most dangerous place for women in the world. India's law enforcement ill-equipped to combat violence against women. Court proceedings for rape victim a farce in Sri Lanka. Nepal claims to be a women-friendly state. Justice institutions contribute to entrenched culture of violence against women in Bangladesh. Civil society forces action against perpetrators in the Philippines. Welcome to AHSC TV's Just Asia. I'm Josephina Bergsten. November 25th marked United Nations International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Although progress has been made in some parts of the world, levels of violence against women remain a global pandemic, not the least in Asia. This violence arrives in the form of femicide, sexual violence and harassment, domestic violence, harmful practices like female genital mutilation, and trafficking primarily for sexual exploitation. Statistics are revealing. According to the United Nations, 35% of women and girls globally experience some form of physical and/or sexual violence in their lifetime. Intimate partners are responsible for murdering between 40 and 70% of female murder victims. Worldwide, more than 700 million women alive today were married off as children. A large proportion of them are in South Asia. In India, more than 8,000 cases of dowry-related deaths were reported in 2007, while an unknown number of murders of women and young girls were falsely labeled as suicides or accidents in the country. In 2012, a study conducted in New Delhi found that 92% of Indian women reported having experienced some form of sexual violence in public spaces in their lifetime. Now let's take a closer look at Pakistan. The past 4 years, formerly under civil government, have seen the promulgation of many laws against gender-based violence. But Pakistan's corrupt, gender-biased and incapable criminal justice system has dismally failed to deter violence against women. While these laws remain unimplemented, women in the country face spectacularly high rates of discrimination and multiple forms of violence, including honor killings, rape, acid attacks, forced conversion to Islam, forced marriages, restriction of freedom of movement, custodial torture, trafficking, domestic violence, dowry violence, forced prostitution, and enforced disappearances. In rural areas, jirgas, an all-male traditional village assembly, often deal with cases of violence against women in place of proper courts. Despite an April 2004 decision of the Sindh High Court that rules all jirgas illegal, these retrogressive and patriarchal assemblies continue to impose their feudal rulings contrary to legal and human rights principles. Next, India, the so-called largest democracy of the world, has been unable to effectively combat violence against women. This is despite the country having manifold mechanisms specifically mandated to address gender-based violence. Institutions like the national and state-level women's commissions, as well as provisions in the law to address violence against women, like the Dowry Prohibition Act and Section 498 of the Indian Penal Code, have failed to deliver. In India too, the country's law enforcement mechanism, particularly the police, mandated to investigate crimes and complaints, is utterly ill-equipped to support legislative and institutional efforts to combat violence against women. a majority of India's social fabric still remains intolerant to gender parity. Women are treated as lesser citizens, inferior in rights and capacities, and face exploitations of all forms. On this subject, AHRC TV speaks to Professor K.G. Sankarapillai, a renowned poet and scholar on the subject.
മൊത്തത്തിൽ ജനങ്ങളിൽ ഈ അവയർനെസ് ഭയാനകമായ തരത്തിൽ കുറവാണ്. അപ്പോൾ വീട്ടിന്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ നിന്ന് വന്ന വേടിച്ച ഫസ്റ്റ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി അവിടുത്തെ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷനിലൂടെ ഓരോ കുട്ടിയും ഒരു മെയിൽ ഡോമിനേറ്റിംഗ് സോഷ്യൽ കൾച്ചറിലേക്ക് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു പിന്നെ സോഷ്യൽ റിലേഷൻസിലേക്ക് പാകപ്പെടുത്തപ്പെടുകയാണ്. ഓരോ പെൺകുട്ടിയും ഈ തരത്തിൽ നീ പെൺകുട്ടി ആയതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഇന്ന അസ്വാതന്ത്ര്യങ്ങളുണ്ട്, ലിമിറ്റേഷൻസ് ഉണ്ടെന്ന് പഠിപ്പിക്കപ്പെടുകയാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഇന്ത്യയിലെ ഫാമിലി സ്ട്രക്ചറാണ് ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ സ്ത്രീയുടെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ എനിമിയായിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അന്ന് ഈ പോസ്റ്റ് വേദിക് പീരീഡില് മനു, കൗടില്യൻ, വാത്സ്യായനൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ 3 ഹിന്ദു ഫിലോസഫേഴ്സ് ആയിരുന്നു ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ മെയിൽ ഡോമിനേഷന്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ തിയററ്റീഷ്യൻസ്. അവര് പറഞ്ഞത് സ്ത്രീ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു ആനന്ദോപകരണം മാത്രമാണ്, പുരുഷന്റെ സ്ലേവാണ്, വീട് നോക്കി നടത്തലിന് പുറത്ത്, വീടിന് പുറത്ത് അവർക്ക് യാതൊരു റോളും ഇല്ലെന്നാണ്. അപ്പൊ ബുദ്ധൻ കൊണ്ടുവന്നത് പെണ്ണിനെ, സ്ത്രീയെ വീട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് വിമോചിപ്പിക്കുന്നതാണ് യഥാർത്ഥത്തിലുള്ള നീതി. സോഷ്യൽ ജസ്റ്റിസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അവിടുന്ന് തുടങ്ങുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ സമൂഹത്തിൽ നിലനിൽക്കുന്ന കാസ്റ്റ് സിസ്റ്റത്തിന്റെ ഹൈറാർക്കിയേക്കാളും വലിയ ഒന്ന് വീട്ടിന്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ ജെൻഡർ ഹൈറാർക്കിയുടെ രൂപത്തിൽ നിലനിൽക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ഈ ജെൻഡർ ഹൈറാർക്കിയെ തകർക്കുന്നതോടുകൂടി മാത്രമേ ഒരു പെണ്ണിന് വീട്ടിന് വെളിയിൽ ഒരു സ്ഥാനം ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ. വിമൻസ് കമ്മീഷൻ വരുന്നത് വെച്ചാൽ റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യപ്പെട്ട കേസുകളിൽ നിന്നാണ് ഇതെല്ലാം ഉണ്ടാവുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്നത് ആക്ച്വൽ സമൂഹത്തിൽ നടക്കുന്ന വയലൻസിന്റെ ഏറ്റവും ചെറിയൊരു ശതമാനം മാത്രമേ റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്നുള്ളൂ.
Throughout Asia, the true number of violent, including sexual crimes against women, does not find reflection in the number of cases taken up by courts. Trauma and shame prevents most women from reporting violent sexual abuse. The dysfunction of the courts are also to blame for this disparity. This is clear in the next story from Sri Lanka. The story is about 17-year-old Rita. She was abducted and raped by 2 young men inside a vehicle in broad daylight in the town of Talawakele in central province of Sri Lanka on August 12, 2001. After raping Rita, they dumped her by the roadside. Unlike victims in most such cases, Rita made her way straight to a police station. She was able to identify the perpetrators on the very same day, and after obtaining a medical checkup, she filed a case against the men. In a country where the justice institutions are, in fact, designed to protect victims and convict perpetrators, this would have been a simple case. Not so in Sri Lanka's courts. The case has now been going on for more than 14 years, and Rita has so far been required to attend the Magistrates Court 24 times, the High Court in Kandy 11 times, and the High Court of Nuwara 23 times. Rita was a young schoolgirl when raped. She is now an adult in her 30s, married and with a daughter. In the last 14 years, Rita has had to repeatedly testify in detail and been cross-examined continually about what happened to her on the day she was raped. Unlike most victims of violence, Rita has been supported by a large number of human rights defenders who have given her safe houses and protection for the duration of her ordeal through Sri Lanka's courts. If this is what fighting for justice looks like for a rape victim of Rita's courage and support network, it is clear why most victims never report such crimes. Perpetrators can continue to violate women and girls with impunity. The rape case of Rita might finally come to an end, as this week the oral submissions were concluded. The judgment is now expected to be delivered on the 17th of December. To find out more about Rita's absurd court proceedings and attitudes about sexual violence in Sri Lanka, AHRC TV spoke with Rita herself and with human rights defender Sister Mabel Rodrigo, who has assisted Rita throughout her ordeal.
ඉස්කෝලේ යන ගමන් ඉන්නකොට නඩු පටන් ගත්තා. නඩු පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ මම ඉස්කෝලේ ඇඳුම් පිටීම මම උසාවියට යන්න ලෑස්ති වුණා. එයින් අවුරුදු ගණනාවක් ගියා. ගිහිල්ලා දැන් අවුරුදු ඊට පස්සේ විභාගේ අරගෙන ඉවරයි. ඒක ඉවර වුණාට පස්සේ ආයි උසාවියට ගියා. දැන් මට ගණන් අදලා කියන්න බෑ. උසාවියට කීපාරක් ගියා කියලා ගොඩාක් දවසේ මං ගියා. කිල්ලා දැන් අවුරුදු 14ක් කිට්ටු වෙනවා. තවත් උසාවියේ යනවා. තාම ඉවරයක් නැහැ. මගේ අතින් වැරද්දක් තිබ්බෙයින්ද මේ දෙවියන් වහන්සේගේ ආශිර්වාදයෙන් මට ඉෂ්ට වෙයි කියලා මම බලාපොරොත්තු තවත් ඉන්නවා. තවත් කොච්චර කාලෙට යන්න වෙයි කියලා නම් උසාවි යන්න වෙයි කියලා මට කියන්න දන්නේ.
They go through a terrible time because society treats him as unfortunate, bad luck, and people don't want to see them early in the morning. And also when they walk on the road, they look the other side. So that sort of prohibitions and prejudices are there, so they find very difficult.
Next, AHRC TV reports from Nepal, which publicly portrays itself as a women-friendly state. Through a reportedly women-friendly constitution, it claims that women have equal rights in the country. Nepal recently elected a female president for the first time in its history. The Speaker of the House is also a woman. Does this mean that Nepal is embarking on a path of gender equality? Does having a woman as the head of state create any changes for women in the country? These are questions Nepalese civil society and women's rights activists are asking. In Nepal, Shiva Hari Gayawali interviewed a women's rights activist on the eve of International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women.
For the first time in not the history, the whole story of Nepal, Nepalese mother story, the motherland has got a woman president, and that is one of the achievements. Similarly, another achievement, for the first time again in Nepal, Mother Earth has given a speaker, the Speaker of the Parliament. And these things are the new history. And that's why we must say these are our achievements. But that doesn't mean that we have really got absolute equality. No. We had to fight a lot to really be an equal citizen in par with the man.
If we talk about the Dalit women, and it's very, very hard to say that practically Dalit women are in a very bottom level, so they have to face a difficult situation day by day. It's not easy to sustain in the ground. And as a whole, if we talk about the women's reality, women are like they have achieved a very great place, and the women are also in the very bottom place. We have to find out the reality. That's the situation. The government says that, oh, this constitution has provided so lots of rights for the women, to the Dalit women also, but in practically it's not true.
In Bangladesh, the story repeats itself. Judging by the significant presence of women in politics and in public, one may think that women are empowered and enjoy freedoms with dignity. Daily reality is otherwise. Despite several strict laws, all forms of violence against women, at home, in the workplace, and on the streets, are a way of life in Bangladesh. Again, justice institutions contribute to the entrenched culture of violence against women. Fast-track courts in every district to try the crimes of violence against women have not been able to shake off the debilitating factor of judicial incompetence. Firstly, the Bangladesh judiciary as a whole is not independent. Secondly, public prosecutors are appointed on the basis of political loyalty instead of prosecutorial merits or experiences. Thirdly, the police, which controls the complaint mechanism and criminal investigations, are institutionally corrupt and politicized. Fourth, the forensic examination system lacks credibility due to constant interference by the police and powerful people. And above all, women suffer humiliation throughout the process, from the registration of complaints to the end of the trial. This deters reporting of crimes. Without justice institutions that function independently and credibly, there is little hope that women will enjoy the full protection of the laws. Finally, the Philippines, which often places high on gender equality index lists, unlike South Asian countries. But violence against women is still persistent. Statistics show that 1 in 5 Filipino women has experienced physical violence, and only 30% of affected women seek assistance after being physically or sexually abused. The RA 9262, known as the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children Act of 2014, recognizes the need to protect the family and its members, particularly women and children, from violence and threats to their personal safety and security. The brutal rape and murder of a 14-year-old girl in 2013 demonstrates the lack of effective justice mechanisms. It also shows how persistent pressure by civil society can lead to a positive outcome. Darlene Jane Las Piñas' body was found 2 days after it was abducted. Eyewitnesses quickly identified the suspects, but it was only after months of civil society pressure that the court ordered the suspects to be arrested. Allegedly with protection from authorities, it took another year before the suspect was found and detained. For more on this and the general situation in the Philippines, AHRC-TV speaks with Secretary General of Gabriela Socsarjan.
Kung atong subayon karon tungod kay ang justice system nato nagpabilin ang sistema nga wala nagapagor ngadto sa mga tao ngadto sa mga nanginahanglan og tabang, mas nakita naton og napamatud ang nitaas ang rate sa pagpanlapas sa tawhan patungod sa mga kababayenan, violence against women and children. So sa karon sa matag oras 45 minutos adunay babaye nga kinapigmalan, ma-rape, ug mas ubos pa gyud ang edad sa ma-rape karon bisag mga 1 month old ma-rape na. So kana siya miaging tuig adunay kaso ni ana sa usa ka bata nga kahimugso pa lang gikawat sa nanay na rape ang bata nakita na. So, diri particular sa General Santos, matud pa ni Dr. Udi nga sa matag adlaw aduna gyud siya maka-encuentro o kliyente, aduna siya pasyente isa duha o usahay mahimong tulo sa isa ka adlaw. Dako na siya nga indikasyon na wala gyud pagbagwa ang judiciary system, ang sistema sa katilingban bisan pa anaa ng RA 9262.
That is all for Just Asia this week. For more on these and other issues, please visit humanrights.asia. Thank you for watching and see you again next week.